Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine this. Right now, as you sit here listening to these words, there's an incredible force operating within you. A force so powerful that it processes 11 million bits of information every single second, while your conscious mind can only handle about 40 bits in that same time frame. This force never sleeps, never takes a break, and never stops working to shape your reality. It's been quietly orchestrating every heartbeat, every breath, every decision you've made today. And yet, most people go their entire lives without ever truly understanding what it is, or learning how to harness its extraordinary power. This force is your subconscious mind, and what you're about to discover will fundamentally change how you see yourself and your potential forever. If you find these explorations into the hidden depths of human consciousness fascinating, I'd be grateful if you'd consider subscribing and giving this video a like. The journey we're about to take together might just be the most important one you've ever embarked upon. Let's begin. Tonight, as we drift into this mystery together, I want you to consider sharing where in the world you're listening from. There's something beautiful about minds from across the globe coming together to explore the infinite landscape of human potential. Comment your time and location below, and let's create a global community of consciousness explorers. Here's something that will blow your mind. Every single day, your subconscious mind processes the equivalent of about 11 million pieces of information. To put that in perspective, if your conscious mind were a small flashlight, your subconscious would be the entire sun. The difference in processing power is so vast that scientists estimate only 5% of your daily mental activity happens at the conscious level. The remaining 95% occurs in the vast, mysterious realm of your subconscious. But here's where it gets truly extraordinary. This isn't just passive background processing we're talking about. Your subconscious mind is actively creating your reality every single moment. It's filtering what you notice and what you ignore. It's influencing every decision you make, every emotion you feel, and every opportunity you either seize or let slip away. It's the invisible architect of your life, building your experiences from blueprints you may not even realize you've provided. Most people walk through life completely unaware of this incredible power operating within them. They struggle with the same problems year after year, wondering why they can't seem to break through to the success they desire. They set goals with their conscious mind, make resolutions, try to force change through willpower alone, and then feel frustrated when nothing seems to stick. What they don't understand is that they're trying to drive a Formula One race car using only the emergency brake. The truth is, your conscious mind, for all its analytical brilliance, is like the captain of a massive ship who can only see what's happening on the surface. Meanwhile, your subconscious mind is the entire crew below deck, the engine room, the navigation system, and the hull itself all working in perfect coordination to determine where that ship actually goes. You can stand on the deck and shout orders all day long, but unless you learn to communicate with the crew below, you'll find yourself going in circles or worse, heading straight for the rocks. Tonight, we're going to dive deep beneath the surface and explore this hidden realm that governs so much of your life. We're going to uncover the scientific mechanisms that make your subconscious mind so incredibly powerful. We'll examine real-world case studies of people who learned to harness this power and achieved seemingly impossible transformations. And most importantly, we'll reveal the specific techniques you can use to begin reprogramming your subconscious mind starting today. But before we go any further, let me share something that might surprise you. The concept of the subconscious mind isn't some new age mystical idea or wishful thinking. It's grounded in decades of rigorous scientific research. Modern neuroscience, has given us unprecedented insights into how this system actually works. Brain imaging studies using functional magnetic resonance imaging and electroencephalography have revealed that subconscious processing involves multiple brain regions working in perfect harmony. We're talking about the prefrontal cortex, the limbic system, and various subcortical structures all collaborating in ways that would make the most sophisticated computer networks look primitive by comparison. Here's what makes this even more fascinating. Recent research has shown that the pathways of conscious and unconscious thoughts can actually be differentiated in brain scans. But here's the kicker. Subconscious thoughts don't seem to have their own dedicated processing pathway. Instead, they share elements of both conscious and unconscious roots, creating a unique bridge between different levels of mental processing. This means your subconscious mind has access to information and capabilities that your conscious mind alone could never reach. Think about this for a moment. Every skill you've ever mastered, from walking to riding a bicycle to driving a car, started as a conscious effort that required your complete attention. But through repetition and practice, these abilities became automated, handled effortlessly by your subconscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't just store these skills, it continuously refines and optimizes them without any conscious input from you. It's like having a team of expert technicians working around the clock to make you more efficient and capable. But the power of your subconscious extends far beyond motor skills. It's constantly forming associations, recognizing patterns, and making connections that your conscious mind might never notice. It's processing emotional information, storing memories, and using past experiences to predict and prepare for future events. It's literally shaping your perception of reality by determining what information gets through to your conscious awareness and what gets filtered out. This filtering process is absolutely crucial to understand because it reveals why two people can experience the exact same situation and come away with completely different interpretations. Your subconscious mind is like a sophisticated security system that decides what deserves your attention based on your existing beliefs, past experiences, and programmed priorities. If you've programmed it to look for problems and obstacles, that's exactly what it will highlight for you. If you've programmed it to recognize opportunities and possibilities, suddenly your world becomes rich with potential. The implications of this are staggering. It means that your external reality is largely a reflection of your internal programming. The opportunities you notice, the people you attract, the ideas that occur to you, the decisions you make, all of these are influenced by the subconscious programs running in the background of your mind. Change the programming and you literally change your experience of reality. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to change their lives using only conscious effort and willpower. They make lists, set goals, and try to think their way to success. But remember, your conscious mind represents only 5% of your total mental processing power. It's like trying to move a mountain with a teaspoon. You might make some progress, but it's going to be slow, exhausting, and probably short-lived. The real breakthrough comes when you learn to work with your subconscious mind instead of against it. When you understand how to communicate with this deeper level of your psyche using its own language. And what is that language? It's not words or logic or rational arguments. The subconscious mind speaks in images, emotions, repetition, and belief. It responds to visualization, feeling states, and consistent messaging. It operates on the principle that whatever is repeatedly impressed upon it with emotion and conviction becomes its new operating instructions. This is why positive thinking alone rarely creates lasting change. Simply telling yourself that you're confident or successful while your subconscious is programmed with decades of contradictory evidence is like trying to install new software on a computer without removing the old programs first. The new information gets overwhelmed by the existing programming, and you end up right back where you started. But when you understand how to properly reprogram your subconscious mind, the results can be absolutely extraordinary. We're talking about people who have overcome decades of limiting beliefs in a matter of months. Individuals who have attracted opportunities and resources that seemed impossible just weeks before. Athletes who have broken through performance plateaus that had frustrated them for years. Entrepreneurs who have built thriving businesses from nothing but an idea and the power of their properly programmed subconscious mind. One of the most remarkable aspects of subconscious programming is its relationship with neuroplasticity. The brain's ability to form new neural connections and reorganize itself throughout your lifetime. What we now understand is that your subconscious patterns aren't fixed or permanent. They can be actively modified through conscious effort and repetition. Every time you practice a new thought pattern or behavior, you're literally creating new neural pathways in your brain. With enough repetition, these new pathways become the dominant routes for information processing, effectively overwriting the old programming. This process of neuroplastic change occurs through the formation of new synaptic connections and the strengthening or weakening of existing neural pathways. It's like creating new highways in your brain while allowing the old roads to become overgrown with disuse. The more you travel the new routes, the stronger and more automatic they become, until they're the natural path your mind follows without conscious effort. The key to successful subconscious reprogramming lies in understanding that this system operates quite differently from your logical, analytical conscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't evaluate or judge the information it receives. It doesn't question whether something is true or false, good or bad, possible or impossible. It simply accepts whatever is consistently impressed upon it with sufficient emotional intensity and begins organizing your reality around those accepted beliefs. This is both the tremendous opportunity and the potential danger of subconscious programming. If you're not deliberately choosing what gets programmed into your subconscious, then it's being programmed anyway by your environment, your experiences, the media you consume, and the people you spend time with. Most people are walking around with subconscious programs that were installed during childhood, often by well-meaning parents and teachers who were simply passing on their own limiting beliefs and fears. The beautiful truth is that once you understand how this system works, you can begin to take conscious control of your subconscious programming. You can deliberately install new beliefs, new expectations, and new automatic responses that serve your highest goals and aspirations. You can literally redesign your internal reality to support the external life you want to create. In the coming segments of this exploration, we're going to dive deep into the specific mechanisms that make subconscious programming so powerful. We'll examine the role of emotions in creating lasting change, the incredible power of visualization and mental rehearsal, and the optimal states of consciousness for installing new programs. We'll look at real-world case studies of individuals who have used these principles to create remarkable transformations in every area of their lives. We'll explore how your subconscious mind processes information during sleep and how you can use these natural cycles to accelerate your programming efforts. We'll investigate the fascinating relationship between belief and reality and how changing your core beliefs can literally alter your experience of the world around you. And we'll reveal the specific techniques and practices that the most successful people use to maintain positive subconscious programming throughout their lives. But perhaps most importantly, we'll help you identify the specific limiting programs that may be running in your own subconscious mind right now. These are the hidden beliefs and assumptions that may be sabotaging your efforts and keeping you stuck in patterns you consciously want to change. Once you can see these programs clearly, you'll have the power to replace them with new programming that supports your dreams and goals. The journey we're embarking on together isn't just about understanding an interesting aspect of psychology or neuroscience. It's about discovering and claiming one of the most powerful forces in the universe, the incredible, untapped potential of your own mind. Your subconscious is waiting to be directed, programmed, and unleashed in service of your highest aspirations. All it needs is for you to learn its language and begin speaking to it in terms it can understand and act upon. As we continue deeper into this exploration, remember that every moment of every day, your subconscious mind is listening, learning, and creating your reality based on the information you provide it. The question isn't whether your subconscious is powerful. The question is whether you'll choose to harness that power consciously and deliberately, or whether you'll continue to let it operate on autopilot, creating results by default rather than by design. The transformation begins the moment you realize that your subconscious mind operates according to principles that are as reliable and predictable as the laws of physics. Just as gravity works the same way whether you understand it or not, your subconscious responds to certain inputs in very specific ways. The difference is that once you understand these principles, you can use them deliberately to create the life you actually want instead of unconsciously creating the life you've been programmed to expect. Let me share with you one of the most profound discoveries in modern neuroscience. When researchers use brain imaging technology to study people engaged in detailed mental visualization, something extraordinary happens. The same neural networks that activate when someone physically performs an action also light up when they simply imagine performing that action with vivid detail. Your brain, at the deepest levels, cannot distinguish between a powerfully imagined experience and an actual physical experience. This isn't just fascinating science, it's the key to understanding how mental rehearsal can literally rewire your brain for success. When you repeatedly visualize yourself performing at your peak, overcoming challenges, or achieving your goals with sufficient emotional intensity and sensory detail, you're creating the same neural pathways that would be formed through actual practice. You're essentially training your nervous system without ever leaving your chair. Professional athletes have known this secret for decades. Olympic champions spend hours mentally rehearsing perfect performances, visualizing every movement, every sensation, every emotion associated with peak performance. They understand that physical practice combined with mental rehearsal creates a level of preparation that physical training alone could never achieve. But here's what most people don't realize. This same principle applies to every area of life, not just athletic performance. Consider what happens when you repeatedly imagine yourself as confident, successful, and capable. With each vivid visualization session, you're strengthening neural pathways associated with these qualities. Your subconscious mind begins to accept these imagined experiences as evidence of who you really are. Gradually, your self-concept shifts, and with it, your automatic behaviors and responses begin to align with this new identity. The process works because your subconscious mind is constantly seeking consistency between your beliefs about yourself and your external experiences. When there's a mismatch between your internal programming and your current reality, your subconscious works tirelessly to resolve this inconsistency. Most people experience this as self-sabotage when their actions unconsciously undermine their conscious goals because their deeper programming doesn't believe they deserve success. But when you use visualization and mental rehearsal to program your subconscious with images and feelings of success, something magical happens. Instead of working against you, your subconscious begins working for you. It starts noticing opportunities you would have previously overlooked. It guides you toward people and situations that align with your programmed expectations. It influences your decisions and behaviors in ways that move you consistently toward your visualized outcomes. This is where the concept of selective attention becomes crucial. Your brain is constantly bombarded with millions of pieces of information every second, far more than your conscious mind could ever process. To prevent complete overwhelm, your subconscious acts as a sophisticated filtering system, determining what deserves your conscious attention and what gets ignored. This filtering process is heavily influenced by your existing beliefs, expectations, and programmed priorities. Have you ever noticed how when you're thinking about buying a particular car, you suddenly start seeing that model everywhere? The cars were always there, but your brain wasn't programmed to notice them until they became relevant to your current focus. This same principle operates in every area of your life. Your subconscious is constantly scanning your environment for information that matches your internal programming, highlighting what it considers important and filtering out what it deems irrelevant. When you program your subconscious with clear, emotionally charged images of your desired outcomes, you're essentially updating your internal filtering system. Suddenly, your brain becomes primed to notice opportunities, resources, and connections that support your goals. What once seemed like lucky breaks or coincidences reveal themselves as the natural result of a properly programmed subconscious mind, directing your attention toward relevant possibilities. The emotional component of this process cannot be overstated. Your subconscious mind is far more responsive to information that carries emotional significance than to dry, logical data. This is why simply repeating affirmations without genuine feeling rarely produces lasting change. Your subconscious recognizes the lack of authentic emotion and essentially dismisses the input as unimportant. But when you combine visualization with genuine emotional engagement, when you allow yourself to truly feel the joy, excitement, gratitude, and satisfaction of achieving your goals, you're speaking to your subconscious in its native language. Emotions act as the delivery system that ensures your programming reaches the deepest levels of your mind, where real change occurs. Recent research in neuroscience has revealed that emotional memories are processed and stored differently than purely factual memories. They're given priority access to long-term storage and have stronger connections to behavior-generating areas of the brain. This means that experiences charged with emotion, whether real or vividly imagined, have a disproportionate influence on your future thoughts, feelings, and actions. Understanding this principle allows you to accelerate your subconscious reprogramming dramatically. Instead of hoping that repeated exposure to positive ideas will eventually sink in, you can deliberately create emotionally charged visualization experiences that penetrate directly to the core of your subconscious programming. You become the director of your own mental movie, creating scenes so vivid and emotionally compelling that your subconscious accepts them as reality. The timing of when you engage in this programming is also crucial. Your subconscious is most receptive to new programming during certain states of consciousness, particularly the drowsy, relaxed states that occur just before sleep and just after waking. During these hypnagogic and hypnopompic states, your brain produces theta waves, the same brainwave frequency associated with deep meditation and heightened suggestibility. This is why many successful people develop the habit of spending time in visualization and positive mental rehearsal during these transition periods. As the critical, analytical functions of the conscious mind begin to relax their vigilance, the subconscious becomes more open to accepting new programming. It's like having a direct line to your brain's central command center, bypassing the usual resistance and skepticism that might interfere during normal waking consciousness. But visualization and mental rehearsal are just one part of the equation. Your subconscious mind is also constantly being programmed by your habitual thought patterns, the language you use when talking to yourself, and the beliefs you hold about what's possible for someone like you. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I could never do that," or "people like me don't succeed at this," you're reinforcing limiting programs that constrain your potential. The good news is that you can begin reprogramming these automatic thought patterns starting right now. The key is developing awareness of your internal dialogue and consciously choosing thoughts that align with your desired outcomes rather than your current circumstances. This isn't about denying reality or engaging in wishful thinking. It's about recognizing that your thoughts about your current situation are not facts about your future potential. Your subconscious mind is incredibly literal. It tends to take your words and thoughts at face value, without the nuanced interpretation that your conscious mind might apply. When you repeatedly tell yourself that something is impossible, or that you're not the type of person who achieves certain goals, your subconscious accepts these statements as operating instructions and works diligently to prove them true. Conversely, when you consistently think and speak about yourself and your possibilities in terms that assume success, capability, and worthiness, your subconscious begins organizing your reality around these new assumptions. It's not that thinking positively magically changes your external circumstances, but rather that it changes your internal programming, which then influences your perception, decisions, and actions in ways that lead to different outcomes. This principle becomes even more powerful when you understand the role of repetition in subconscious programming. Your brain operates on use it or lose it principles. Neural pathways that are frequently traveled become stronger and more automatic, while those that are neglected gradually weaken. This means that every time you choose a thought pattern that aligns with your goals rather than your limitations, you're literally rewiring your brain for success. The process requires patience and consistency because you're not just installing new programming, you're also overwriting years or even decades of existing patterns. It's like trying to create a new path through a dense forest. The first few times you walk the route, it's difficult, and the old path still looks more appealing. But with consistent effort, your new path becomes clearer and easier to follow, while the old path gradually becomes overgrown. This is why sustainable change often takes time, and why people who try to transform their lives through willpower alone frequently find themselves reverting to old patterns. They haven't addressed the deeper programming that drives their automatic responses. They're trying to force change at the surface level, while the subconscious continues operating according to its existing instructions. The most effective approach involves working with your subconscious mind rather than against it. This means using the natural laws that govern subconscious programming to install new patterns that support your desired outcomes. It means speaking to your deeper mind in its own language of images, emotions, and repetition rather than trying to convince it through logical arguments alone. As we continue exploring the depths of subconscious power, you're beginning to see that this isn't just theoretical knowledge, it's practical wisdom that can transform every aspect of your life. Your subconscious mind is like a faithful servant that will tirelessly work to manifest whatever you consistently program into it. The question is whether you'll take conscious control of that programming or continue letting it be shaped by default through random experiences and unconscious habits. The techniques we're exploring aren't just interesting concepts to think about. They're tools for actively reshaping your reality from the inside out. Every visualization session, every moment of conscious thought direction, every choice to speak to yourself with encouragement rather than criticism is an act of subconscious reprogramming that moves you closer to the life you truly desire. In our continued exploration, we'll delve deeper into the specific practices that make subconscious reprogramming most effective. We'll examine how successful individuals structure their mental training routines and discover the common elements that make certain approaches dramatically more powerful than others. The journey into your subconscious mind is really a journey into your own unlimited potential, waiting to be discovered and directed toward your highest aspirations. But perhaps one of the most fascinating discoveries about subconscious programming involves what happens when you combine specific techniques with the natural rhythms of your sleep cycle. During the night, your brain doesn't simply shut down and rest. Instead, it engages in a sophisticated process of memory consolidation, emotional processing, and neural reorganization that directly impacts how your subconscious functions the following day. Think about this for a moment. While your conscious mind drifts into the peaceful realm of sleep, your subconscious remains active, sorting through the day's experiences, strengthening important neural connections, and integrating new information into your existing mental framework. This is why you sometimes wake up with solutions to problems that seemed impossible the night before, or why certain skills you practiced during the day suddenly feel more natural and automatic after a good night's sleep. The implications of this nocturnal processing are profound for anyone seeking to reprogram their subconscious mind. The moments just before you fall asleep represent a golden window of opportunity, a time when your conscious defenses are naturally lowered and your subconscious is most receptive to new programming. During this twilight state between waking and sleeping, your brain produces theta waves, the same frequency associated with deep meditation and heightened suggestibility. Professional athletes have long understood this principle. They spend the final minutes before sleep mentally rehearsing perfect performances, visualizing themselves executing flawless techniques, and achieving their competitive goals. What they're really doing is providing their subconscious with high-quality programming material to work with during the night's neural processing sessions. Consider what happens when you fall asleep while dwelling on problems, worries, or negative scenarios. Your subconscious spends the entire night processing and reinforcing these patterns, strengthening the neural pathways associated with anxiety and limitation. You wake up feeling drained, pessimistic, and somehow more convinced that your problems are insurmountable. This isn't coincidence. It's your subconscious doing exactly what it was programmed to do during those crucial pre-sleep moments. But when you deliberately choose to focus on positive outcomes, successful scenarios, and feelings of gratitude and accomplishment as you drift off to sleep, something remarkable occurs. Your subconscious spends the night integrating these positive patterns, strengthening neural pathways associated with confidence, capability, and success. You wake up feeling energized, optimistic, and somehow more capable of handling whatever challenges the day might bring. The power of this approach becomes even more pronounced when you understand that your subconscious doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and actual memories. As you repeatedly fall asleep while visualizing yourself as successful, confident, and capable, your subconscious begins treating these imagined experiences as evidence of who you really are. Over time, this creates a fundamental shift in your self-concept that automatically influences your waking thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. This is where the concept of identity-level change becomes crucial. Most people try to change their results by changing their actions, but they keep the same underlying identity. They might temporarily modify their behavior through willpower and discipline, but eventually they revert to patterns that match their deeper self-concept. It's like trying to maintain a neat and organized workspace when your internal identity is that of a disorganized person. The external change doesn't last because it conflicts with the internal programming. True transformation occurs when you change at the identity level first, when your subconscious genuinely believes you are the type of person who naturally succeeds, who deserves good things, who is capable of achieving your goals. Then the corresponding behaviors flow naturally and effortlessly. You don't have to force yourself to take positive action, because positive action becomes the automatic expression of your new identity. This identity-level programming happens most effectively through consistent emotional engagement with your desired self-concept. It's not enough to simply think about who you want to become. You must feel yourself being that person. Experience the emotions and sensations associated with living from that identity, and allow these feelings to become familiar and natural. Here's where many people make a critical error in their reprogramming efforts. They focus solely on external outcomes, visualizing the money, the relationships, the achievements they want to attract. While this can be helpful, it misses the deeper level where real transformation occurs. The most powerful programming focuses on the internal qualities and characteristics that would naturally lead to those external results. Instead of just visualizing yourself with $1 million in the bank, you program your subconscious with the identity of someone who naturally creates value, makes wise decisions, and attracts financial abundance through their unique gifts and talents. Instead of just imagining yourself in a perfect relationship, you develop the internal programming of someone who is naturally loving, attractive, and worthy of deep connection. This approach works because your subconscious is always seeking consistency between your internal beliefs and your external experiences. When you program yourself at the identity level, your subconscious automatically guides you toward thoughts, decisions, and actions that align with this new self-concept. You don't have to constantly monitor and correct your behavior because your behavior naturally flows from your programmed identity. The process requires what researchers call emotional coherence, a state where your thoughts, feelings, and actions are all aligned around a single outcome or identity. Most people experience emotional incoherence, where their conscious goals conflict with their subconscious programming, creating internal tension and self-sabotaging behaviors. Achieving emotional coherence requires more than just positive thinking or visualization. It requires a deep, felt sense of already being the person you want to become. This isn't about pretending or denying your current circumstances, but rather about accessing and strengthening the seed of your desired identity that already exists within you. Every human being contains the potential for greatness, success, love, and fulfillment. These aren't qualities you need to develop from scratch, but rather aspects of your true nature that may be buried under layers of limiting conditioning. Subconscious reprogramming is really about removing the false programs that obscure your natural potential and allowing your authentic capabilities to emerge. This perspective shifts the entire reprogramming process from one of trying to become something you're not to one of remembering and expressing who you really are. It eliminates the internal resistance that often accompanies change efforts because you're not trying to force yourself into an alien identity. Instead, you're simply clearing away the mental debris that has been preventing your true nature from shining through. The most successful individuals understand this principle intuitively. They don't see themselves as ordinary people trying to achieve extraordinary things. They recognize themselves as extraordinary beings who happen to be expressing their natural capabilities in the world. This subtle but profound shift in perspective eliminates the internal conflicts that sabotage most people's efforts. When you truly understand that success, happiness, and fulfillment are not things you have to earn or prove yourself worthy of, but rather natural expressions of who you already are at the deepest level. The entire game changes. Your subconscious stops working against your goals and begins working with them because there's no longer any conflict between your desires and your identity. This brings us to one of the most powerful techniques for accelerating subconscious reprogramming, the practice of assumption. Rather than hoping, wishing, or trying to convince yourself that change is possible, you simply assume the feeling of your desired outcome already being true. You live from the end result thinking, feeling, and acting as if your goals have already been achieved. This isn't about denial or delusion. It's about recognizing that your current circumstances are simply the result of your past programming, while your future circumstances will be determined by your present programming. By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you're installing new programming that will inevitably produce new results. The practice of assumption works because your subconscious responds to the dominant feeling or emotional state you consistently maintain. When you spend more time feeling successful than feeling unsuccessful, feeling abundant than feeling lack, feeling confident than feeling insecure, your subconscious begins organizing your reality around these dominant emotional patterns. Most people do the opposite. They wait for their circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel good. They think they'll be happy when they achieve their goals, confident when they prove their worth, or abundant when they accumulate wealth. But this approach keeps them trapped in their current reality because they're consistently reinforcing the very feelings and beliefs that created their present circumstances. The breakthrough comes when you reverse this process. Instead of letting your circumstances determine your internal state, you use your internal state to determine your future circumstances. You choose to feel successful now, not because of what you've achieved, but because of what you're in the process of becoming. This requires a fundamental shift in how you relate to time and causation. Most people believe that causes precede effects, that you must first do something in order to have or be something. But in the realm of subconscious programming, the opposite is often true. You must first be something internally in order to naturally do the things that lead to having the external results you desire. When you consistently maintain the internal state of your desired outcome, several remarkable things begin to happen. Your perception shifts, and you start noticing opportunities and resources that were always present but previously invisible to you. Your decision-making improves because you're thinking from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Your behavior naturally aligns with your assumed identity because there's no internal conflict to overcome. Perhaps most importantly, you begin to attract people, situations, and circumstances that match your internal state. This isn't mystical or magical. It's simply the natural result of the energy and vibration you're consistently putting out into the world. When you genuinely feel successful, confident, and abundant, you unconsciously communicate these qualities through your posture, facial expressions, tone of voice, and overall presence. Other people pick up on these subtle signals and respond accordingly. Opportunities that might have gone to someone else suddenly come your way. People who could help you achieve your goals feel naturally drawn to collaborate with you. Resources and support appear from unexpected sources because your energy and attitude make you someone others want to be around and assist. This principle explains why some people seem to attract good fortune wherever they go, while others struggle despite their best efforts. It's not about luck or external circumstances. It's about the internal programming that shapes how they show up in the world and what they unconsciously communicate to others. The most successful people have learned to maintain positive internal states, regardless of their external circumstances. They understand that their feelings and beliefs are not reactions to their environment, but rather creative forces that shape their future experiences. This gives them tremendous power because they're no longer at the mercy of external conditions. Instead of waiting for the perfect opportunity, they create opportunities through their attitude and energy. Instead of hoping someone will believe in them, they believe in themselves so strongly that others can't help but be influenced by their confidence. Instead of trying to convince the world of their worth, they know their value so deeply that it becomes obvious to everyone they encounter. This level of self-mastery doesn't happen overnight, but it begins the moment you start taking conscious control of your internal programming. Every time you choose an empowering thought over a limiting one, every moment you maintain a positive emotional state. Despite challenging circumstances, every instance where you act from your desired identity rather than your current conditions, you're strengthening the neural pathways that support your transformation. The key is consistency and persistence. Your subconscious mind learns through repetition and emotional intensity. The more frequently you practice thinking, feeling, and acting from your desired identity, the more natural and automatic these patterns become. Eventually, what once required conscious effort becomes your natural way of being. As we continue exploring the depths of subconscious power, remember that every moment presents an opportunity to choose between reinforcing old patterns or installing new ones. Your subconscious is constantly listening, learning, and adapting based on the information you provide through your thoughts, emotions, and focus. The question is whether you'll continue letting this process happen by default, or whether you'll take conscious control and direct it toward your highest aspirations. The techniques we're exploring aren't just theoretical concepts, but practical tools for actively reshaping your reality from the inside out. Your subconscious mind is waiting to be programmed with instructions that serve your growth and success. All it requires is your conscious participation in providing the right kind of input with sufficient consistency and emotional engagement. In our continuing journey into the mysteries of subconscious programming, we'll explore even more specific techniques and real-world applications that demonstrate just how profound these principles can be when properly understood and applied. The transformation you seek is not only possible, but inevitable once you align your conscious intentions with the natural laws that govern subconscious functioning. Your subconscious mind operates according to what scientists call the expectancy effect, a phenomenon so powerful that it can literally alter your physiology and change your brain chemistry in real time. When you consistently expect certain outcomes, your subconscious begins preparing your entire system to experience those outcomes, creating what appears to be self-fulfilling prophecies, but is actually the natural result of precise mental programming. Consider what happens when you walk into a room expecting to be rejected or criticized. Your subconscious immediately begins preparing your body for this anticipated experience. Your posture subtly changes, your breathing becomes shallower, your facial expressions shift almost imperceptibly, and your voice takes on defensive undertones. Other people in the room pick up on these unconscious signals and often respond exactly as you expected, confirming your original belief and strengthening the neural pathways associated with rejection. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. When you reverse this process and walk into that same room expecting to be welcomed, appreciated, and valued, your entire physiology shifts in the opposite direction. Your posture becomes more open and confident. Your breathing deepens naturally. Your facial expressions soften into genuine warmth, and your voice carries an undertone of positive expectation. People respond to these different signals by treating you with more warmth and respect, creating an entirely different experience from the exact same external circumstances. This isn't just about positive thinking or putting on a fake smile. What we're talking about goes much deeper than surface-level behavior modification. Your subconscious mind is constantly running complex calculations based on your programmed expectations, adjusting everything from your hormone levels to your muscle tension to your neural firing patterns in preparation for what it believes is coming next. Recent research in psychoneuroimmunology has revealed that your thoughts and beliefs directly influence your immune system, your cardiovascular function, and even your genetic expression. When you consistently program your subconscious with expectations of health, vitality, and well-being, you're literally instructing your body to optimize its biological processes in support of these outcomes. Conversely, chronic worry, fear, and negative expectations create stress responses that suppress immune function and accelerate aging at the cellular level. The implications of this mind-body connection are staggering. It means that your subconscious programming doesn't just influence your external circumstances, it actually changes your internal biology. You're not just thinking your way to success, you're literally rewiring your nervous system and optimizing your physical capacity to achieve your goals. This biological dimension of subconscious programming explains why some people seem to have boundless energy and vitality, while others feel drained and exhausted despite similar lifestyles. The difference often lies not in their external circumstances, but in their internal programming. Those who consistently maintain positive expectations and optimistic outlooks are literally programming their bodies for higher performance and greater resilience. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of subconscious programming involves what happens when you begin working with the quantum field of infinite possibilities that surrounds you at every moment. Modern quantum physics has revealed that at the fundamental level of reality, everything exists as probability waves until observed or measured. Your conscious attention and expectation literally collapse these waves into specific experiences. This isn't mystical speculation, but documented scientific reality. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrated that subatomic particles behave differently depending on whether they're being observed, suggesting that consciousness itself plays a fundamental role in determining physical reality. While we're still unraveling the full implications of these discoveries, what's clear is that your focused attention and expectation have far more power to influence outcomes than most people realize. When you program your subconscious with clear, emotionally charged expectations, you're not just changing your internal experience, you're actually influencing the field of possibilities around you. Your subconscious begins guiding your attention toward information, opportunities, and synchronicities that support your programmed expectations while filtering out evidence that contradicts them. This selective attention mechanism operates like a sophisticated radar system, constantly scanning your environment for anything relevant to your dominant programming. Have you ever noticed how when you're thinking about buying a specific car, you suddenly start seeing that model everywhere? Or how when you're focused on a particular problem, solutions seem to appear from unexpected sources? This isn't coincidence. It's your programmed subconscious directing your awareness toward relevant information that was always present but previously invisible to you. The key to maximizing this effect lies in programming your subconscious with what researchers call coherent expectations. These are clear, specific, emotionally engaging visions of your desired outcomes that are free from internal conflict or contradiction. When your conscious goals align perfectly with your subconscious programming, you create what scientists term psychophysiological coherence, a state where your heart rate, brain waves, and nervous system all synchronize around a single intention. In this coherent state, your entire being becomes like a finely tuned instrument, all parts working in harmony toward your programmed outcome. Your intuition becomes sharper, your decision-making improves dramatically, your creativity flows more freely, and you seem to attract exactly the right people and circumstances at exactly the right moments. Achieving this level of coherence requires more than just wishful thinking or casual visualization. It demands what neuroscientists call sustained intentional focus, the ability to maintain clear, emotionally engaged attention on your desired outcome despite distractions, setbacks, or contradictory evidence from your current circumstances. Most people practice what could be called scattered programming, where they spend a few minutes visualizing their goals, but then spend the rest of their day thinking and talking about their problems, limitations, and current unsatisfactory circumstances. This creates mixed signals in their subconscious, leading to mixed results in their external experience. The breakthrough comes when you learn to maintain coherent focus on your desired outcomes throughout your daily activities. This doesn't mean ignoring practical realities or pretending problems don't exist. Rather, it means approaching challenges from the perspective of your programmed identity, asking yourself how the person you're becoming would handle each situation. This shift in perspective transforms obstacles from roadblocks into opportunities for growth and demonstration of your evolving capabilities. Instead of seeing problems as evidence that your goals are impossible, you begin seeing them as perfectly designed challenges that will develop the exact skills and qualities you need to succeed at the next level. This reframing process is crucial because your subconscious interprets everything that happens to you through the lens of your existing programming. If you're programmed to see yourself as a victim of circumstances, your subconscious will find evidence to support that interpretation in every situation. But if you're programmed to see yourself as someone who grows stronger and more capable through challenges, your subconscious will discover opportunities for empowerment in those same circumstances. The power of reframing becomes particularly evident when you understand that your subconscious doesn't just passively observe your experiences. It actively constructs your reality by determining what aspects of any situation you notice and how you interpret what you observe. Two people can go through identical experiences and come away with completely different stories about what happened, based entirely on their different subconscious programming. This constructive aspect of perception means that changing your programming doesn't just change how you respond to future events, it actually changes your experience of present circumstances. Problems that once seemed overwhelming begin appearing manageable. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly become obvious. People who seemed threatening or dismissive start appearing helpful and supportive. These aren't just changes in your attitude or perspective, though those certainly shift as well. They're literal changes in what your nervous system perceives and how your brain processes incoming information. Your subconscious programming acts like a sophisticated filter that determines what reaches your conscious awareness and how that information gets interpreted. Understanding this filtering mechanism reveals why affirmations and positive thinking often fail to create lasting change. If you're trying to install new positive programming while your deeper subconscious remains convinced of your limitations, the new information gets filtered out as unrealistic or irrelevant. Your existing programming essentially rejects the new input because it doesn't match the established pattern. Successful reprogramming requires what researchers call pattern interruption, a process of disrupting existing neural pathways long enough for new patterns to take hold. This typically happens most effectively during altered states of consciousness, when your normal filtering mechanisms are relaxed and your subconscious becomes more receptive to new programming. These altered states can be achieved through various means, including deep relaxation, meditation, rhythmic breathing, repetitive movement, or the natural trance states that occur during creative activities. The key is finding methods that allow you to bypass your conscious analytical mind and communicate directly with your deeper programming levels. Many successful individuals have discovered this principle intuitively, developing personal rituals and practices that induce these receptive states. Some use morning meditation sessions to program their subconscious for the day ahead. Others engage in evening visualization practices to process the day's experiences and install positive programming for tomorrow. Still others use physical activities like running or swimming to access trance states where breakthrough insights and programming shifts can occur. The specific method matters less than the consistency and emotional engagement you bring to the practice. Your subconscious responds most powerfully to information that is repeated frequently with strong emotional content and vivid sensory detail. This is why the most effective programming techniques combine multiple sensory modalities, engaging not just your visual imagination, but also your auditory, kinesthetic, and emotional systems. When you can see your desired outcome clearly, hear the sounds associated with its achievement, feel the physical sensations of success, and experience the emotions of fulfillment all simultaneously, you create what neuroscientists call cross-modal plasticity. BAM! Multiple areas of your brain begin firing together, creating strong neural networks that support your new programming. This multisensory approach explains why some people achieve remarkable results with visualization, while others see little change despite regular practice. Those who succeed naturally engage all their senses and emotions in the process, creating rich, compelling internal experiences that their subconscious accepts as real. Those who struggle tend to use only visual imagination without emotional engagement, creating weak programming that easily gets overridden by existing patterns. The emotional component deserves special emphasis because emotions serve as the energy source that powers subconscious programming. Think of emotions as the fuel that drives new neural pathway formation. Without sufficient emotional intensity, even the most sophisticated programming techniques remain largely ineffective. This is why traumatic experiences often create such powerful and lasting programming changes. The intense emotions associated with trauma literally burn new patterns into your neural networks, often overriding years of previous programming in a single event. While we obviously don't want to create trauma, we can learn from this process and deliberately use positive emotional intensity to accelerate beneficial programming changes. The key is learning to generate authentic positive emotions around your desired outcomes, not just thinking about them intellectually. This requires moving beyond hoping or wishing for change to actually feeling the reality of your goals as if they were already achieved. When you can consistently access feelings of gratitude, excitement, joy, and satisfaction while focusing on your intended outcomes, you create the emotional intensity needed to override existing limitations. This emotional engagement must be genuine rather than forced. Your subconscious can easily distinguish between authentic emotions and manufactured feelings, responding only to the real ones. This is why it's often helpful to start with smaller goals that feel emotionally accessible before attempting to program for major life changes. As you build confidence and skill with the programming process, you can gradually expand your goals while maintaining the emotional authenticity that makes the techniques effective. Each success strengthens your belief in the process and makes it easier to generate the emotional states needed for even more ambitious programming. The progression typically follows a predictable pattern. First, you notice improvements in your internal experience, feeling more confident, optimistic, and energetic. Then, you begin seeing changes in how others respond to you, as your shifted energy influences their behavior. Finally, external circumstances begin aligning with your internal programming, as opportunities and resources appear to support your programmed outcomes. This sequence reveals an important principle about how subconscious programming creates change in the world. The transformation always begins internally, with shifts in your thoughts, feelings, and energy patterns. These internal changes then influence your behavior and the signals you send to others. Finally, the external world responds to these new signals, creating circumstances that match your updated programming. Understanding this sequence helps you maintain patience and persistence during the programming process. Change doesn't happen overnight because it must occur in the proper order, with each level of transformation supporting the next. Trying to force external changes without first establishing the internal programming often leads to frustration and temporary results that don't last. The most sustainable transformations occur when you focus primarily on internal programming and allow external changes to emerge naturally as a result. This approach eliminates the strain and effort that characterize most people's change attempts and creates results that feel effortless and inevitable. As you continue developing mastery over your subconscious programming, you begin to understand that you're not just changing your personal circumstances, but actually participating in the evolution of consciousness itself. Every time you successfully reprogram a limiting belief or expand your sense of what's possible, you're contributing to the collective awakening of human potential. Your individual transformation creates ripples that extend far beyond your personal life, influencing everyone you interact with, and adding to the growing awareness that human beings are capable of far more than most people currently realize. You become a living demonstration of what's possible when someone learns to harness the true power of their subconscious mind. This larger perspective transforms personal development from a self-centered pursuit into a form of service to humanity. As you develop greater mastery over your own consciousness, you naturally become more capable of helping others discover and develop their potential. Your success becomes a beacon that lights the way for others who are ready to embark on their own journey of transformation. The techniques we're exploring aren't just tools for personal achievement, but methods for accessing and expressing the highest possibilities of human consciousness. Your subconscious mind is connected to a vast network of intelligence that extends far beyond your individual awareness, linking you to sources of wisdom, creativity, and insight that can guide you toward contributions you may have never imagined possible. In our continued exploration, we'll delve even deeper into these advanced applications of subconscious programming, revealing how the most extraordinary human achievements throughout history have emerged from individuals who learn to align their personal consciousness with these larger patterns of intelligence and possibility. The journey into your subconscious mind ultimately becomes a journey into the infinite potential that exists within every human being, waiting to be awakened and expressed in service to your highest calling. The transformation we've been exploring goes even deeper than most people realize, touching on discoveries that are revolutionizing our understanding of human potential itself. Recent research has unveiled something extraordinary about how your subconscious mind processes information during what scientists call micro-recovery states. Those brief moments throughout your day when your conscious attention naturally relaxes. These aren't just random mental breaks, but sophisticated processing windows where your subconscious performs some of its most important work. During these fleeting intervals, lasting sometimes only seconds, your deeper mind consolidates new learning, processes emotional information, and integrates recent experiences with your existing neural networks. What makes this particularly fascinating is that you can learn to recognize and utilize these natural programming windows to accelerate your transformation dramatically. Think about those moments when you're washing dishes and suddenly have a brilliant insight about a problem you've been struggling with, or when you're driving a familiar route and find yourself arriving at your destination with a completely new perspective on a challenging situation. These aren't accidents or coincidences. They're examples of your subconscious mind taking advantage of relaxed, conscious attention to process information and generate solutions. The key insight here is that your subconscious doesn't just work during formal programming sessions or meditation practices. It's constantly active, continuously seeking opportunities to optimize your mental and emotional patterns. By becoming aware of these natural processing moments and learning to provide high-quality input during them, you can multiply the effectiveness of your reprogramming efforts exponentially. Consider what happens when you consciously choose uplifting, empowering thoughts during these micro-recovery states instead of defaulting to worry, criticism, or mental replay of problems. You're essentially feeding your subconscious premium programming material during some of its most receptive moments. Over time, this creates a cumulative effect that can transform your entire mental landscape. But there's an even more profound dimension to this process that connects to what neuroscientists are discovering about something called neural coherence cascading. When you maintain consistent, positive programming across multiple micro-recovery states throughout your day, you create synchronized patterns of brain activity that literally change how your nervous system processes all incoming information. Imagine your brain as a vast orchestra where billions of neurons must coordinate their activity to create the symphony of your conscious experience. Most people live with what could be described as neural chaos, where different brain regions operate with conflicting rhythms and contradictory programming. This creates internal tension, emotional instability, and the exhausting experience of feeling like you're fighting against yourself. Neural coherence cascading occurs when your consistent programming efforts begin synchronizing these different brain regions around common patterns and purposes. Instead of internal conflict, you experience internal harmony. Instead of scattered attention, you develop laser-like focus. Instead of emotional turbulence, you cultivate steady confidence and resilience. This synchronized state doesn't just feel better, it actually enhances your cognitive capabilities in measurable ways. Your memory improves, your creativity expands, your decision-making becomes more intuitive and accurate, and your ability to learn new skills accelerates dramatically. You're not just changing your thoughts and feelings, you're optimizing your entire neural operating system. The process builds upon itself through what researchers call positive feedback amplification. Each successful programming session makes the next one more effective. Each moment of coherent focus strengthens your ability to maintain coherent focus. Each experience of internal harmony makes it easier to return to that harmonious state, even under challenging circumstances. This amplification effect explains why some people seem to transform their lives rapidly once they begin serious subconscious work, while others struggle for years with minimal progress. The difference often lies in understanding and utilizing these natural amplification cycles, rather than working against them through inconsistent or conflicted programming efforts. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery involves what happens when your individual neural coherence begins resonating with what some scientists call the morphic field of collective human potential. This isn't mystical speculation, but emerging scientific understanding of how consciousness operates at quantum levels, where individual minds appear to be connected through subtle but measurable information networks. When your subconscious programming achieves sufficient coherence and clarity, you begin accessing insights, inspirations, and capabilities that seem to originate from beyond your personal experience. Creative breakthroughs emerge fully formed. Solutions to complex problems appear with startling clarity, and you find yourself capable of achievements that surprise even you. This phenomenon has been documented throughout history in the lives of great inventors, artists, scientists, and leaders who consistently reported receiving their most important insights through what they described as inspiration, intuition, or direct knowing. What modern research suggests is that these individuals had developed sufficient neural coherence to access information networks that exist beyond individual consciousness. Think of it this way. Your individual subconscious mind is like a sophisticated radio receiver that can tune into various frequencies of information. Most people's receivers are cluttered with static from conflicting beliefs, emotional turmoil, and scattered attention, making it difficult to receive clear signals from these subtler information networks. But when you clean up your internal programming and achieve neural coherence, your receiver becomes capable of accessing increasingly refined and powerful frequencies of insight and capability. This doesn't diminish the importance of personal efforts and development. Rather, it reveals that your individual transformation is connected to something far larger and more magnificent than you might have imagined. Your personal programming work becomes a way of participating in the evolution of consciousness itself, contributing to humanity's growing understanding of what's truly possible for conscious beings. The practical implications of this understanding are profound. It means that your programming efforts serve not only your individual goals, but also the collective advancement of human potential. Every limiting belief you transform, every fear you transcend, every new capability you develop contributes to the expanding field of what's possible for all conscious beings. This perspective transforms personal development from a potentially self-centered pursuit into a form of service to the larger evolutionary process. Your success becomes a gift to the collective, demonstrating new possibilities and making it easier for others to achieve similar breakthroughs in their own lives. But accessing these deeper levels of programming requires moving beyond surface-level techniques to what could be called identity-level coherence. This involves aligning not just your thoughts and emotions around your goals, but your entire sense of self with the highest possibilities you can authentically conceive. Most people approach subconscious programming from the perspective of their current identity trying to achieve different results. But the most profound transformations occur when you begin programming from the perspective of your future identity, the person you're becoming, rather than the person you've been. This shift requires what psychologists call developmental disidentification, a process of loosening your attachment to limiting aspects of your current self-concept while strengthening identification with your expanding potential. It's like upgrading your internal operating system, rather than just installing new applications on top of outdated software. The process can feel disorienting initially, because you're literally changing your fundamental sense of who you are. Old patterns that once felt natural begin feeling foreign, while new capabilities that once seemed impossible start feeling inevitable. This is normal and actually indicates that your programming is working at the deepest levels. During this transition phase, it's crucial to maintain what researchers call coherent patience, the ability to trust the programming process even when external results haven't yet caught up with your internal transformation. Remember that sustainable change must occur in the proper sequence. Internal programming first, behavioral changes second, external results third. Many people abandon their programming efforts during this crucial transition period because they expect immediate external validation of their internal work. But the most powerful transformations often require what could be called an incubation period, where new programming integrates and stabilizes before manifesting as obvious external changes. Think of a seed that's been planted in fertile soil. For weeks or even months, nothing appears to be happening above ground. Yet tremendous activity is occurring beneath the surface as root systems develop and gather the resources needed for eventual growth. Your subconscious programming often follows a similar pattern, with the most important work happening invisibly until the foundation is strong enough to support visible transformation. Understanding this natural timing helps you maintain consistent programming efforts, even when progress seems slow or invisible. Each session is contributing to the deep structural changes that will eventually produce the external results you desire. The key is maintaining faith in the process while continuing to provide high-quality programming input regardless of current circumstances. This brings us to one of the most sophisticated aspects of subconscious programming: learning to work with what neuroscientists call temporal displacement. The ability to program your subconscious as if your desired outcomes have already occurred, while simultaneously taking appropriate action in present circumstances. Most people struggle with this apparent paradox. They wonder how they can feel successful before they've achieved success, or how they can experience abundance while dealing with current limitations. The answer lies in understanding that your subconscious operates in the eternal present, where all possibilities exist simultaneously as potential experiences. When you program your subconscious from the perspective of already having achieved your goals, you're not denying present realities or engaging in wishful thinking. Instead, you're accessing the quantum field of potential outcomes and selecting which probability wave you want to collapse into your future experience. This requires developing what could be called dimensional thinking, the ability to hold multiple levels of reality simultaneously in your awareness. At one level, you acknowledge and work skillfully with current circumstances. At another level, you maintain unwavering focus on your intended outcomes as already accomplished realities. This isn't about compartmentalization or split thinking, but rather about expanding your consciousness to encompass both present challenges and future possibilities as equally real aspects of your total experience. Masters of subconscious programming develop this expanded awareness naturally, allowing them to remain peaceful and confident even while navigating difficult circumstances. The practice requires what ancient wisdom traditions called detached engagement, the ability to participate fully in present activities while maintaining inner alignment with your deeper programming and larger purposes. You become like an actor who can inhabit a role completely while never forgetting their true identity beyond the character they're playing. This expanded awareness creates what researchers call solution-focused perception, where your attention naturally gravitates toward resources, opportunities, and possibilities rather than problems, obstacles, and limitations. You begin seeing every situation through the lens of your programmed outcomes, asking, not, why is this happening to me? But rather, how is this serving my evolution and leading me toward my intended destination? This shift in questioning transforms challenges from roadblocks into stepping stones, problems from evidence of impossibility into opportunities for creative breakthrough. Your subconscious begins interpreting every experience as perfectly designed to develop the exact qualities and capabilities you need for your next level of achievement. The transformation in perception creates corresponding changes in your emotional patterns and energy signature. Instead of stress, frustration, and resistance around difficulties, you experience curiosity, excitement, and engagement. This isn't forced positivity or denial of genuine challenges, but rather the natural result of viewing circumstances through the filter of your programmed identity and purposes. Others notice this energetic shift immediately, even when you're not consciously trying to project confidence or positivity. Your programming creates authentic changes in your presence that influence how people respond to you and what opportunities they're moved to offer. You become someone others want to help, collaborate with, and support because your energy naturally inspires and uplifts. This magnetic quality emerges not from manipulation or technique, but from the coherent alignment between your inner programming and outer expression. When there's no conflict between who you're being internally and how you're showing up in the world, you develop what charisma researchers call authentic presence, a quality that naturally draws people and opportunities toward you. Understanding these deeper principles transforms subconscious programming from a personal development practice into a sophisticated technology for conscious creation. You're not just changing your thoughts and feelings, you're learning to work with the fundamental forces that shape reality at quantum levels. As you continue developing mastery in this domain, you begin recognizing that consciousness itself is the ultimate creative force in the universe, and that learning to direct your consciousness skillfully is perhaps the most important skill any human being can develop. Your subconscious mind becomes not just a personal tool for achievement, but a gateway to participating consciously in the ongoing creation of reality itself. The techniques we're exploring represent humanity's growing understanding of how to work with consciousness as a creative force, rather than simply being at the mercy of unconscious patterns and external circumstances. Every person who develops these capabilities contributes to the collective evolution of human potential and the expansion of what's possible for our species. In our continued journey into these deeper dimensions of subconscious programming, we'll explore even more advanced applications and discover how the greatest transformations in history have emerged from individuals who learn to align their personal consciousness with the larger creative intelligence that moves through all existence. Your individual programming journey becomes a participation in this cosmic creative process, with implications that extend far beyond personal success into realms of service and contribution you may have never imagined possible. The ultimate destination of this exploration isn't just personal transformation, but the discovery of your unique role in the larger tapestry of conscious evolution that's unfolding on our planet at this pivotal moment in human history. Your subconscious mind holds not only the keys to your individual potential, but also the blueprints for your contribution to the greater awakening of human consciousness that's emerging as more people learn to access and express these remarkable capabilities. The deeper we venture into the realm of subconscious programming, the more we encounter what researchers call consciousness field effects, phenomena that challenge our basic assumptions about the boundaries between individual minds and collective intelligence. When you achieve sufficient coherence in your own programming, something remarkable begins to happen. You start accessing insights and capabilities that seem to originate from sources beyond your personal knowledge and experience. This isn't mystical thinking, but documented scientific observation. Studies of highly coherent individuals show unusual patterns of brain activity that suggest connection to larger information networks. Their neural oscillations begin synchronizing with frequencies that appear to exist independently of their individual brain patterns, as if they're tuning into a cosmic intelligence that pervades all existence. Consider the countless stories of inventors who simultaneously developed identical breakthrough technologies on opposite sides of the planet, having never communicated with each other, or the phenomenon of scientific discoveries emerging simultaneously in multiple laboratories, as if certain insights become available to human consciousness at specific moments in our collective evolution. These aren't coincidences, but evidence of what some researchers call the morphic resonance field, a network of information that becomes accessible when individual consciousness achieves sufficient coherence and clarity. Your personal programming work doesn't just change your individual experience, it connects you to this larger field of possibility that exists beyond the boundaries of your personal mind. The implications are staggering. It means that as you develop mastery over your subconscious programming, you're not just accessing your own potential, but tapping into the collective intelligence of humanity itself. The insights that emerge during your most coherent states may represent downloads from this vast repository of human knowledge and wisdom, but accessing these higher frequencies of information requires what ancient traditions called ego death, a temporary dissolution of the limited self-concept that normally constrains your identity. This doesn't mean losing yourself, but rather expanding beyond the artificial boundaries that separate you from your larger nature. Most people live within what psychologists call consensus reality, a collectively agreed upon set of limitations about what's possible for human beings. These limitations exist primarily in consciousness, not in actual reality. When you begin programming your subconscious beyond these consensus boundaries, you encounter resistance, not just from your own conditioning, but from the collective field of limitation that surrounds our species. This resistance manifests as doubt, fear, and the uncomfortable feeling that you're venturing into territory where you don't belong. Your nervous system may react as if you're in physical danger, even when you're simply contemplating possibilities that exceed normal human expectations. This is your programming encountering the edge of collective human conditioning. The breakthrough comes when you recognize that these feelings aren't warnings about actual danger, but simply indicators that you're moving beyond familiar programming territories. Like a computer updating its operating system, your consciousness is temporarily destabilized as it integrates new possibilities that don't fit existing frameworks. During these expansion phases, it's crucial to maintain what researchers call coherent persistence, the ability to continue programming beyond your comfort zone while remaining grounded and centered. This requires developing what could be described as evolutionary courage, the willingness to become something humanity has never been before. Think about the first human who decided to leave the safety of trees and walk upright on the savannah. That individual had to overcome not just personal fear, but the collective conditioning of their entire species. Yet their courage to venture beyond established limitations opened new possibilities for all humanity. Your programming work operates on similar principles, though at the level of consciousness rather than physical evolution. Every time you successfully program beyond collective limitations, you create what researchers call morphic breakthrough points, new patterns of possibility that become available to others who are ready to access them. Your individual transformation literally makes it easier for others to achieve similar breakthroughs because you've established new pathways in the collective consciousness field. This understanding transforms your programming practice from personal development into a form of evolutionary service. You're not just changing your own life, but contributing to the expansion of human potential itself. Your success becomes a gift to the collective, proving that certain achievements are possible and making them more accessible to others. But working at these levels requires developing what could be called quantum consciousness, the ability to hold paradoxical states simultaneously. You must be completely committed to your individual transformation while simultaneously releasing attachment to specific outcomes. You must program with absolute certainty while remaining open to possibilities beyond your current imagination. This paradoxical approach emerges naturally as you develop mastery because you begin recognizing that your individual will is actually an expression of a larger intelligence that operates through you. Your personal programming becomes a collaboration between your conscious intention and this greater creative force that seeks expression through your unique perspective and capabilities. The most profound programming sessions occur when you achieve what mystics call surrender within effort, a state where maximum personal engagement combines with complete trust in the larger intelligence that guides the process. In these moments, programming transcends technique and becomes a direct communion with the creative force of existence itself. During such sessions, insights emerge that seem to download directly into your awareness, complete and fully formed. Solutions to complex problems appear with crystal clarity. New capabilities manifest that you never knew you possessed. You realize you're not creating these experiences, but rather removing obstacles that were preventing their natural expression. This recognition leads to one of the most important discoveries in advanced programming work. You're not actually programming your subconscious to become something new, but rather removing false programming that has been concealing your true nature. Beneath all the limiting beliefs and conditioned responses lies an authentic self of unlimited potential that has always existed within you. The programming process becomes less about installing new software and more about deleting corrupted files that have been interfering with your natural operating system. As these false limitations dissolve, capabilities that seemed impossible begin manifesting effortlessly because they represent your natural state rather than acquired abilities. This shift from acquisition to revelation transforms the entire programming experience. Instead of struggling to become someone different, you relax into remembering who you truly are beneath all the conditioning. Instead of forcing change through willpower, you allow transformation to emerge through the removal of resistance. The practice becomes increasingly effortless as you align with this deeper understanding. Programming sessions feel more like coming home to yourself than venturing into foreign territory. The resistance that once accompanied change efforts dissolves because you're not fighting against your nature, but returning to it. This alignment creates what researchers call resonance amplification, where your programming efforts become exponentially more effective because they're supported by the natural intelligence of your authentic self. Instead of swimming against the current, you're flowing with the river of your true nature toward its inevitable destination. As this process unfolds, you begin experiencing what advanced practitioners call spontaneous coherence, moments when perfect alignment emerges without conscious effort. Your thoughts, emotions, actions, and circumstances synchronize around your deepest intentions, creating experiences of extraordinary flow and effectiveness. These coherence episodes provide glimpses of what becomes possible when programming work achieves mastery. Life stops feeling like a series of problems to solve and starts feeling like a creative adventure to explore. Challenges transform into opportunities for expressing new levels of capability. Relationships become vehicles for mutual growth and inspiration. The external world begins reflecting your internal coherence through what appears to be magical synchronicities, but are actually the natural result of consciousness operating at optimal levels. Opportunities appear precisely when needed. Resources manifest from unexpected sources. People enter your life who perfectly complement your evolving purposes. This isn't wishful thinking or selective perception, but the documented experience of individuals who have developed sufficient mastery over their subconscious programming. Their lives demonstrate what becomes possible when human consciousness operates according to its true design, rather than the limited patterns most people accept as normal. Understanding these possibilities doesn't mean expecting immediate mastery or becoming frustrated with your current level of development. Like any sophisticated skill, advanced programming requires patient practice and gradual development. The key is maintaining consistent effort while trusting the natural intelligence of the process to guide your evolution. Each programming session contributes to your growing mastery, even when the results aren't immediately obvious. Your subconscious is continuously integrating new possibilities and preparing the foundation for future breakthroughs. The work you do today may not bear fruit until weeks or months later, but it's never wasted effort. The journey requires what could be called developmental faith, the ability to trust in your own potential, even when current evidence doesn't support your aspirations. This faith isn't blind belief, but recognition that your true capabilities extend far beyond what you've previously expressed or experienced. Most people underestimate their potential by enormous margins because they base their self-assessment on past performance rather than inherent capacity. But your past doesn't determine your future unless you program your subconscious to make it so. Every moment offers the opportunity to begin expressing new levels of your authentic nature. The programming techniques we're exploring are simply methods for removing the artificial constraints that have been preventing your natural brilliance from shining through. As these limitations dissolve, you discover capabilities that feel both completely new and deeply familiar, as if you're remembering abilities you always possessed but had forgotten how to access. This remembering process accelerates as you develop confidence in your programming abilities and trust in your own potential. Each successful breakthrough makes the next one more accessible because you're building evidence that supports your expanding self-concept. The momentum builds naturally as your growing capabilities validate your developing faith in the process. But perhaps the most important aspect of advanced programming involves learning to work with what could be called evolutionary timing. The recognition that certain transformations can only occur when consciousness is ready to support them. Trying to force change before the proper foundation has been established often leads to frustration and temporary results that don't last. The most sustainable transformations unfold according to natural rhythms that honor both your individual readiness and the larger evolutionary patterns that govern human development. Your programming work becomes a process of preparing yourself to receive and express new levels of capability as they become available through your continued growth. This timing aspect explains why some people seem to achieve remarkable results quickly, while others require longer periods of preparation before experiencing major breakthroughs. The difference isn't in their programming ability, but in their readiness to integrate and embody new levels of consciousness. Learning to recognize and work with these natural rhythms transforms programming from a struggle to force change into a dance of collaboration with the intelligence that guides evolutionary development. You become a conscious participant in your own evolution, rather than someone trying to manipulate outcomes through technique alone. As you continue developing this sensitivity to evolutionary timing, your programming efforts become increasingly effective because they align with the natural currents of growth and transformation. Instead of swimming upstream against the flow of development, you learn to navigate these currents skillfully toward your intended destinations. The mastery emerges gradually as you develop both technical proficiency in programming methods and intuitive sensitivity to the deeper intelligence that guides the entire process. Your individual will become harmonized with evolutionary will, creating a partnership that makes extraordinary achievements feel natural and inevitable. This harmonization represents the ultimate goal of all programming work, not to impose your personal desires on reality, but to discover and express your unique role in the larger evolutionary process that's unfolding through human consciousness. Your individual transformation becomes a contribution to collective human development, serving purposes that extend far beyond personal success. In our continued exploration of these advanced dimensions, we'll discover how this evolutionary perspective transforms not just your personal programming practice, but your entire understanding of what it means to be human in this remarkable moment of cosmic development. Your subconscious mind becomes not just a tool for personal achievement, but a gateway to participating consciously in the greatest adventure of all, the evolution of consciousness itself. The techniques we've been exploring represent humanity's growing understanding of how to work consciously with the forces that shape reality at its deepest levels. As more people develop these capabilities, we're witnessing the emergence of a new phase in human development, where consciousness itself becomes the primary technology for creating positive change in our world. Your individual mastery of subconscious programming contributes to this collective awakening, making you part of a growing community of consciousness pioneers who are demonstrating new possibilities for human potential and paving the way for future generations to access even greater levels of capability and wisdom. The journey into the true power of your subconscious mind ultimately becomes a journey into the infinite potential that exists within every human being, waiting to be awakened and expressed in service to the highest good of all life. As you continue developing these remarkable abilities, you join the ranks of those who are actively participating in the conscious evolution of our species. But there's something even more extraordinary happening as your programming deepens that most people never discover. Your subconscious mind begins operating through what researchers call predictive modeling, a sophisticated process where your deeper intelligence starts calculating probable futures based on your current programming patterns. It's literally running millions of scenario simulations beneath your conscious awareness, preparing optimal response strategies for situations that haven't even occurred yet. Think about this for a moment. While you're going about your daily activities, your subconscious is continuously projecting these patterns forward to anticipate what's analyzing patterns in your environment, relationships, and circumstances. Then it's like having a supercomputer running constant background calculations likely to unfold in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Optimize your decision-making and behavioral responses. This predictive capability explains why some people seem to have uncanny intuition about future events, or why they consistently make choices that lead to positive outcomes even when the logic isn't immediately apparent. Their subconscious has become so finely tuned through proper programming that it can detect subtle patterns and emerging trends that their conscious mind hasn't yet recognized. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. When you program your subconscious with clear, emotionally coherent intentions, you're not just changing your present experience, you're literally reshaping these predictive models. Your deeper mind begins calculating futures based on your new programming rather than your old limitations. It starts preparing you for success scenarios instead of failure patterns. This shift in predictive modeling creates what scientists call anticipatory adaptation, where your physiology, psychology, and behavior begin adjusting to support outcomes that haven't yet materialized in your external reality. Your nervous system literally starts preparing for success before you've achieved it, creating the internal conditions necessary for those achievements to emerge. Consider what happens when an athlete's subconscious becomes programmed for peak performance. Long before the actual competition, their nervous system begins optimizing hormone achievement. Their body starts preparing for victory at the cellular levels, muscle coordination, and neural firing patterns to support extraordinary, creating the biological foundation for breakthrough performances. The same principle operates in every area of life. When you program your subconscious for business success, your brain begins optimizing pattern recognition abilities that help you spot profitable opportunities others miss. When you program for relationship fulfillment, your emotional intelligence naturally expands, making you more attractive to potential partners and more skilled at maintaining healthy connections. This anticipatory adaptation process operates through what neuroscientists call experience-dependent plasticity, where your brain literally rewires itself based on expected future experiences rather than just past events. You're essentially training your nervous system for realities that exist only in potential until your programming makes them manifest. The key to maximizing this effect lies in what researchers term temporal coherence programming, where you maintain consistent emotional and mental alignment with your intended outcomes across different time horizons. Instead of programming sporadically or with conflicting intentions, you create coherent programming patterns that extend from immediate goals through long-term aspirations. This requires developing what could be called layered intention setting, where you program your subconscious simultaneously for short-term improvements, medium-term achievements, and long-term transformations. Each layer supports and amplifies the others, creating a comprehensive programming framework that guides your development across all time scales. Most people make the mistake of focusing only on immediate desires or distant dreams without creating coherent bridges between present circumstances and future aspirations. This creates what programmers call temporal gaps, where your subconscious receives conflicting signals about what timeline to optimize for, leading to inconsistent results and internal confusion. Successful programming requires what ancient wisdom traditions called graduated manifestation, where you create stepping stone goals that allow your subconscious to build confidence and capability progressively. Each achieved milestone strengthens your internal evidence for what's possible, making the next level of achievement feel natural and inevitable. This progressive approach works because your subconscious operates on evidence-based programming principles. It responds most powerfully to intentions that feel emotionally authentic and achievable based on your current self-concept. When you try to program for outcomes that feel completely foreign to your existing identity, your deeper mind often rejects or sabotages these efforts as unrealistic. But when you program in graduated steps that stretch your current identity without breaking it, your subconscious can gradually expand its sense of what's possible for you. Each successful expansion makes the next level feel more accessible, creating an upward spiral of increasing capability and confidence. The mastery lies in finding the optimal challenge level for each programming session, pushing beyond your comfort zone without triggering the overwhelm response that shuts down receptivity. This requires developing what researchers call edge sensitivity, the ability to detect when you're programming at your developmental frontier versus when you're playing it too safe or pushing too hard. Working at your authentic edge creates what psychologists term eustress, a form of positive stress that stimulates growth and adaptation without triggering defensive responses. Your subconscious recognizes this optimal challenge level and responds with enhanced plasticity and accelerated integration of new programming patterns. This edge work becomes particularly powerful when combined with what ancient traditions called sacred timing, the practice of aligning your programming efforts with natural cycles and rhythms that support transformation. Your subconscious is more receptive to certain types of programming at different times of day, week, and lunar cycles. Morning hours often provide optimal conditions for programming new identities and capabilities because your brain is naturally primed for learning and adaptation after the night's neural consolidation processes. Evening sessions work well for releasing limiting patterns and emotional blocks that may be hindering your progress. Weekend programming can focus on integration and long-term vision work when you have more time for extended sessions. Understanding these natural rhythms allows you to time your programming efforts for maximum effectiveness, rather than working against your biological and psychological cycles. It's like learning to plant seeds when soil conditions are optimal rather than randomly hoping they'll grow under any circumstances. But perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of advanced programming involves what researchers call metacognitive reprogramming, where you begin programming your subconscious to optimize its own programming capabilities. Instead of just working on specific goals or outcomes, you start upgrading the fundamental operating system that manages all your subconscious processes. This involves programming for enhanced self-awareness, improved emotional regulation, increased creative problem-solving abilities, and greater resilience in the face of challenges. You're essentially teaching your subconscious to become more intelligent, flexible, and effective in all its operations. Metacognitive programming creates exponential rather than linear improvements because every enhancement to your basic cognitive and emotional capabilities multiplies the effectiveness of all your other programming efforts. It's like upgrading your computer's processor and memory instead of just installing new applications on outdated hardware. The process requires what could be called recursive programming, where you use your current subconscious capabilities to program enhanced versions of those same capabilities. It's like using a ladder to build a taller ladder, then using that taller ladder to build an even taller one, creating continuous cycles of self-improvement. This recursive approach can feel paradoxical initially, because you're using your mind to improve your mind, which raises questions about who or what is doing the improving. The answer lies in recognizing that consciousness has multiple levels, and higher levels can always influence and upgrade lower levels when properly accessed. Your conscious awareness represents the highest level of your mental functioning, and therefore has the capability to direct and reprogram all subordinate levels, including your subconscious patterns. The key is learning to maintain stable access to these higher levels of consciousness during programming sessions. This stability comes through what contemplative traditions called witness consciousness, the part of your awareness that can observe your thoughts, emotions, and mental processes without being identified with them. From this witnessing perspective, you can objectively assess your current programming and consciously choose which patterns to strengthen or dissolve. Developing witness consciousness requires practice in what psychologists call metacognitive awareness, the ability to think about your thinking and observe your mental processes as they occur. This creates psychological distance from limiting patterns, making them easier to modify because you're no longer completely identified with them. Most people are so embedded in their mental and emotional patterns that they can't see them clearly enough to change them effectively. They're like someone trying to read a book while holding it pressed against their nose. The witness consciousness provides the psychological distance necessary to see patterns clearly and work with them skillfully. This observational capacity becomes particularly important when working with deep-seated emotional patterns that may have been formed during childhood or traumatic experiences. These patterns often carry intense emotional charges that can overwhelm your programming efforts if approached directly without sufficient psychological stability. The witness consciousness allows you to work with these charged patterns indirectly, observing them with compassionate detachment rather than getting caught up in their emotional intensity. From this stable observational position, you can gradually reprogram these patterns without being destabilized by their emotional content. This indirect approach often proves more effective than trying to force change through willpower or direct confrontation with limiting beliefs. Your subconscious responds better to gentle, persistent influence than to aggressive attempts at immediate transformation. Think of it like taming a wild animal. Direct confrontation often triggers defensive responses that make the animal more difficult to work with. But patient, consistent approach with appropriate boundaries gradually builds trust and cooperation. Your subconscious patterns respond similarly to this patient, respectful approach. The key is maintaining what researchers call therapeutic presence, a state of calm, centered awareness that provides safety and stability for deeper transformation work. This presence communicates to your subconscious that change is possible without threat or violence to your existing sense of self. As you develop this therapeutic presence, your programming sessions become increasingly effective because your subconscious learns to trust the process and cooperate with transformation efforts. Resistance patterns begin dissolving naturally because they no longer serve a protective function in the presence of this stable, nurturing awareness. This trust-building process often takes time, especially if you've had previous experiences where change efforts led to disappointment or self-criticism. Your subconscious may need evidence that this time is different before it fully engages with your programming intentions. Providing this evidence requires consistency, patience, and genuine self-compassion throughout the programming process. Every session where you approach your inner work with kindness and respect builds trust with your subconscious and increases its willingness to participate in transformation efforts. The relationship between your conscious and subconscious minds becomes increasingly collaborative as this trust develops. Instead of feeling like you're fighting against internal resistance, you begin experiencing cooperation and even enthusiasm from your deeper programming levels. This collaborative relationship represents one of the most beautiful aspects of advanced programming work. You discover that your subconscious isn't actually resistant to positive change, but has simply been protecting you from approaches that felt threatening or unsafe. When you learn to work with it skillfully, it becomes your most powerful ally in creating the life you desire. As this partnership deepens, you begin accessing what could be called co-creative programming states, where your conscious intentions merge seamlessly with your subconscious capabilities to produce results that exceed what either level could achieve alone. These are the states where breakthrough transformations occur most readily. In co-creative states, programming feels effortless because there's no internal conflict between your conscious goals and subconscious programming. Your entire being aligns around common intentions, creating focused power that can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles and achieve apparently impossible outcomes. These unified states provide glimpses of your true potential when all aspects of your consciousness work together harmoniously. They reveal that the limitations you've experienced aren't inherent to your nature, but simply result from internal fragmentation and conflicting programming patterns. As you continue developing mastery in these advanced programming territories, you begin recognizing that the techniques themselves are less important than the consciousness you bring to using them. The most powerful programming occurs when you approach the work from a state of integrated awareness that honors both your current reality and your expanding potential. This integrated approach transforms programming from a mechanical process into an art form that expresses the highest capabilities of human consciousness. You become not just someone who uses programming techniques, but someone who embodies the principles that make all transformation possible. The journey continues to unfold as you discover deeper layers of your potential and more sophisticated applications of these consciousness technologies. Each breakthrough reveals new territories to explore and new capabilities to develop, making the path of subconscious mastery an endless adventure of growth and discovery. Your individual development through these practices contributes to the collective evolution of human consciousness, as each person who achieves mastery makes it easier for others to access similar states and capabilities. You become part of a growing network of consciousness pioneers who are demonstrating new possibilities for human potential and creating pathways for future generations to explore. The true power of your subconscious mind extends far beyond personal achievement into realms of service, creativity, and contribution that can only be discovered through direct experience of these expanded states of awareness. As you continue this journey, you're not just transforming your own life, but participating in the conscious evolution of our species toward greater wisdom, compassion, and capability. The mastery you're developing through these advanced programming practices creates what neuroscientists call consciousness coherence fields, invisible but measurable energy patterns that emanate from individuals who have achieved high levels of internal integration. These fields operate like subtle electromagnetic signatures that influence everyone and everything in your immediate environment, often in ways that seem almost miraculous to outside observers. Think about those rare individuals you've encountered who seem to possess an almost magnetic presence. When they enter a room, the entire atmosphere shifts. Conversations become more meaningful, people feel more inspired, and solutions to problems seem to emerge naturally from group interactions. What you're witnessing isn't charisma or social skill, though those may be present as well. You're experiencing the influence of a highly coherent consciousness field that naturally elevates the consciousness of everyone within its range. This phenomenon occurs because consciousness operates according to principles similar to those governing quantum entanglement, where particles become connected in ways that allow instantaneous influence across vast distances. When your subconscious programming achieves sufficient coherence and clarity, your consciousness begins resonating at frequencies that can positively influence other consciousness systems through these subtle quantum connections. The effect operates below the threshold of normal awareness, which is why most people can't explain why they feel different around certain individuals. They simply know that something shifts in their internal experience when they're in the presence of someone who has developed advanced programming mastery. Their own limiting patterns begin to relax, their creative capabilities expand, and they find themselves thinking and feeling in ways that exceed their normal range. But here's what makes this truly extraordinary. These consciousness field effects aren't just temporary influences that disappear when you leave someone's presence. Exposure to highly coherent consciousness can create what researchers call resonance imprinting, where your own neural patterns begin adopting some of the coherent characteristics you've been exposed to. It's similar to how tuning forks work. When you strike one tuning fork and place it near another, the second fork begins vibrating at the same frequency through sympathetic resonance. Consciousness operates according to similar principles, where coherent patterns can induce coherence in other consciousness systems through proximity and extended interaction. This means that your programming work doesn't just benefit you personally, but creates positive influences that ripple outward to benefit everyone in your sphere of contact. Your family members may notice they feel calmer and more optimistic around you. Your colleagues might find themselves more creative and solution-focused during meetings you attend. Your friends could discover they feel more confident and capable after spending time in your presence. These aren't coincidences or wishful thinking, but documented effects of consciousness, field interactions, that occur whenever someone achieves sufficient internal coherence through dedicated programming practices. You become a walking catalyst for positive transformation in others, often without saying or doing anything specific to create these effects. Understanding this ripple effect transforms your motivation for programming work from purely personal benefit to a form of service to everyone whose life you touch. Every session where you increase your internal coherence contributes to the collective elevation of consciousness in your community and beyond. The implications become even more profound when you consider that these field effects operate through what quantum physicists call non-local connections, where influence occurs instantaneously regardless of physical distance. Your programming work may be positively affecting people you've never met, simply through the interconnected web of consciousness that links all sentient beings. This perspective reveals that individual consciousness development is actually one of the most generous and impactful forms of service you can offer to the world. By becoming the most coherent, capable, and conscious version of yourself, you create positive influences that extend far beyond your personal sphere in ways you may never directly witness, but that contribute to the overall elevation of human potential. But achieving this level of influence requires what advanced practitioners call embodied mastery, where your programming work moves beyond mental exercises to become integrated into every aspect of your daily experience. Your coherent internal state becomes so stable and natural that it maintains itself automatically, regardless of external circumstances or challenges. This embodied mastery develops through what researchers term micro-moment integration, where you learn to maintain programming awareness during the smallest interactions and decisions throughout your day. Instead of compartmentalizing your programming work into specific sessions, you begin living from your programmed identity continuously. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to express your evolved consciousness. Every challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate your programmed capabilities. Every choice becomes an expression of your highest intentions. Your entire life transforms into an ongoing programming practice, where you're continuously deepening and refining your internal coherence. This integration process requires developing what could be called seamless awareness, where you can maintain connection to your deeper programming while fully engaging with whatever situation you're facing. You learn to access your programmed resources instantly without needing to withdraw from daily activities for formal sessions. Think of it like learning to drive a car. Initially, you need conscious attention for every action, carefully thinking through each movement of the steering wheel, brake, and accelerator. But with sufficient practice, driving becomes automatic, allowing you to navigate complex traffic situations while simultaneously carrying on conversations or planning your day. Embodied programming mastery operates similarly. Your coherent states become so natural and automatic that you can access them instantaneously while handling the most demanding situations. Your programmed capabilities become integrated into your nervous system at such deep levels that they express themselves effortlessly through your natural responses. This seamless integration creates what researchers call unconscious competence, where your most sophisticated programming achievements operate automatically without requiring conscious management or maintenance. Your subconscious has internalized new patterns so completely that they've become your new default operating mode. Reaching this level of mastery typically requires what contemplative traditions called sustained practice, where you maintain consistent programming efforts over extended periods, often years, while gradually increasing the sophistication and depth of your work. There are no shortcuts to this level of development, but the rewards justify the investment many times over. The journey requires what could be described as evolutionary patience, the understanding that consciousness development follows natural rhythms that can't be forced or rushed. Like physical fitness or artistic skill, programming mastery develops gradually through consistent effort rather than dramatic breakthrough moments. But unlike external skills that require ongoing maintenance to prevent decay, consciousness development tends to be cumulative and self-reinforcing. Each level of mastery you achieve becomes a stable platform for reaching even greater heights. The progress builds upon itself in ways that create accelerating returns on your programming investments. This acceleration occurs because higher levels of consciousness possess greater creative power and influence than lower levels. As your programming mastery develops, Each session becomes more effective than previous ones because you're working from enhanced capabilities. Your growing coherence creates positive feedback loops that multiply the impact of your continued efforts. The effect creates what researchers call exponential development curves, where progress appears slow initially, but accelerates dramatically once certain threshold levels are achieved. Many practitioners report that their most significant breakthroughs occurred after months or years of seemingly modest progress, when accumulated programming efforts suddenly crystallized into major transformational leaps. Understanding these natural development patterns helps you maintain motivation and consistency during the apparent plateaus that characterize most growth processes. What feels like lack of progress is often actually preparation for the next developmental leap, as your subconscious integrates and stabilizes previous programming before enabling access to new levels. The key during these integration phases is maintaining what practitioners call faith-based persistence, where you continue your programming efforts based on trust in the process, rather than immediate evidence of results. This faith isn't blind belief, but informed confidence based on understanding how consciousness development actually works. Every programming session contributes to your growing mastery, even when the effects aren't immediately obvious. Your subconscious is continuously processing and integrating new patterns, strengthening neural pathways, and preparing the foundation for future breakthroughs. The work is never wasted. Though the results may not manifest according to your expected timeline, this long-term perspective transforms programming from a quick-fix approach to personal development into a sophisticated practice of consciousness cultivation that deepens and enriches throughout your lifetime. Each stage of development reveals new territories to explore and new capabilities to develop. The most advanced practitioners report that programming mastery becomes increasingly effortless and enjoyable as proficiency develops. What once required significant effort and discipline becomes as natural and automatic as breathing. The practice shifts from work to play, from struggle to flow, from forcing to allowing. This transition reflects the natural evolution of any mastery process, where initial awkwardness and effort gradually give way to grace and ease. Your consciousness learns to work with its own deepest patterns rather than against them, creating harmony between your intentions and your natural capacities. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of advanced programming involves what could be called reality co-creation, where your consciousness begins actively participating in the fundamental creative processes that shape physical reality itself. At this level, the boundary between inner transformation and outer manifestation becomes increasingly fluid and permeable. You begin experiencing what mystics throughout history have described as miraculous events, though you understand them as natural expressions of consciousness operating according to principles that transcend ordinary cause and effect relationships. Synchronicities become commonplace. Resources appear precisely when needed. Opportunities emerge that seem designed specifically for your unique purposes and timing. These experiences aren't the result of wishful thinking or selective perception, but genuine manifestations of consciousness, field effects operating at their most sophisticated levels. Your highly coherent internal state begins influencing probability patterns in ways that create favorable outcomes across multiple dimensions of your experience. The phenomenon operates through what quantum physicists call observer effects, where conscious attention literally influences the behavior of quantum systems at the most fundamental levels of reality. Your coherent consciousness becomes a creative force that shapes the quantum field of possibilities into specific manifestations that align with your programmed intentions. This isn't magic or violation of natural laws, but application of consciousness principles that are only beginning to be understood by mainstream science. You're working with the same creative intelligence that organizes galaxies, evolves species, and maintains the complex systems that sustain all life. Your individual consciousness becomes a localized expression of this universal creative principle. Understanding this cosmic connection transforms your relationship with programming work from personal self-improvement to conscious participation in the ongoing creation of reality itself. Your individual development becomes a contribution to the evolution of consciousness throughout the universe. This perspective reveals that the techniques we've been exploring represent humanity's growing understanding of how to work consciously with the fundamental forces that create and sustain all existence. Every person who develops these capabilities helps establish new possibilities for human potential and contributes to our species' evolutionary development. Your programming journey ultimately becomes a path of service to the largest possible purposes, where your individual transformation serves the awakening and development of consciousness at every scale, from personal relationships to global civilization to cosmic evolution itself. As you continue developing mastery in these advanced territories, you join a growing community of consciousness pioneers who are actively participating in the next phase of human development. Your work contributes to establishing new baselines for what's possible for conscious beings and creates pathways for future generations to access even greater levels of capability and wisdom. The true power of your subconscious mind extends into realms of possibility that can only be discovered through direct experience of these expanded states of awareness. Each breakthrough reveals new horizons to explore and new potentials to actualize, making the journey of consciousness development an endless adventure of growth, service, and contribution to the magnificent unfolding of existence itself. The depths we've been exploring together represent just the beginning of what becomes possible when you learn to work consciously with the incredible intelligence that operates through your subconscious mind. Every technique, every insight, every breakthrough we've discussed is a stepping stone toward even greater discoveries that await your continued exploration. Your subconscious mind holds keys not only to your personal transformation, but to capabilities that extend far beyond individual achievement into realms of creativity, service, and contribution that can reshape the world around you in ways you're only beginning to imagine. The journey continues to unfold with each moment of conscious participation in the extraordinary adventure of awakening human potential. As we drift deeper into contemplation of these profound possibilities, remember that every moment offers an opportunity to engage more fully with the remarkable intelligence that operates through your subconscious mind. The transformation you seek isn't somewhere in the distant future, but available right now through your willingness to explore, experiment, and trust in the incredible potential that exists within every human being. Your consciousness is both the canvas and the paint, both the instrument and the music, both the question and the answer in the magnificent creative process of becoming who you truly are. The subconscious mind is your partner in this dance of conscious creation, waiting to be directed toward the highest possibilities you can authentically conceive and emotionally embrace. The adventure of discovery continues with each breath, each choice, each moment of awareness directed toward the infinite potential that surrounds and fills every aspect of your existence. Your subconscious mind is listening, learning, and preparing to manifest whatever you choose to program with sufficient clarity, consistency, and conviction. The magnificent tapestry we've been weaving together reveals something even more extraordinary as we approach the culmination of our exploration. Your subconscious mind operates through what researchers call holographic consciousness, where every part contains the whole and every individual breakthrough contributes to the collective awakening of human potential across our entire species. Think about this remarkable truth. When you achieve a significant programming breakthrough, you're not just changing your personal experience, you're actually updating what scientists call the morphogenetic field of human possibility, making it easier for others to achieve similar transformations even if they've never met you or learned your specific techniques. This occurs because consciousness operates through interconnected networks that transcend individual boundaries. Your neural patterns, when sufficiently coherent, begin resonating with similar patterns in other minds through what quantum physicists describe as non-local entanglement. Every moment of clarity, every experience of expanded capability, every breakthrough into new levels of potential becomes part of the collective human experience. Consider the implications of this understanding. Every time you successfully reprogram a limiting belief, you're weakening that pattern, not just in your own consciousness, but in the collective field where such beliefs exist. Every moment you maintain coherent focus on positive outcomes, you're strengthening those probability patterns for everyone who might benefit from similar achievements. Your individual programming work becomes a form of service to humanity itself, contributing to what evolutionary biologists call species-level learning, where breakthroughs achieved by individual members gradually become available to the entire population. You're literally helping to evolve human consciousness toward greater wisdom, capability, and potential. But this cosmic perspective reveals something even more profound about the nature of subconscious programming. Your deepest intentions and aspirations aren't just personal desires, but expressions of evolutionary intelligence seeking to manifest new possibilities through your unique perspective and capabilities. When you feel drawn towards certain goals or transformations, you're not just experiencing personal ambition. You're receiving guidance from the larger creative intelligence that orchestrates evolution at every scale, from cellular development to galactic formation. Your subconscious desires represent this cosmic intelligence communicating through your individual awareness. This recognition transforms your relationship with programming, from trying to impose your will on reality to learning to recognize and cooperate with the deeper patterns of intelligence that want to express themselves through your life. Your goals become collaborations with evolutionary forces rather than battles against resistant circumstances. The shift in perspective creates what advanced practitioners call effortless manifestation, where your achievements feel less like personal accomplishments and more like natural expressions of cosmic creativity flowing through your consciousness. The struggle disappears because you're no longer working against the grain of existence, but aligning with its deepest currents. This alignment occurs through what mystics throughout history have called surrender within action, where maximum effort combines with complete trust in the larger intelligence that guides all manifestation. You discover that the most powerful programming happens when you hold your intentions with passionate commitment, while remaining completely open to how they manifest. Most people approach subconscious programming with what could be called controlling consciousness, where they try to micromanage every aspect of how their goals should unfold. This creates resistance because it assumes their limited conscious perspective knows better than the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all existence. The breakthrough comes through developing collaborative consciousness, where you program your subconscious with clear intentions while trusting the larger intelligence to orchestrate the specific methods and timing of manifestation. You become a conscious participant in creation rather than someone trying to control it. This collaborative approach often produces results that exceed your original expectations because the cosmic intelligence has access to possibilities and resources that your individual mind could never conceive. Your goals become launching points for even greater achievements that serve purposes beyond your personal imagination. The process requires what could be called intelligent surrender, where you maintain clear intentions while releasing attachment to specific outcomes or methods. This isn't passive waiting, but active cooperation with forces that possess far greater wisdom and capability than your individual consciousness. Think of it like learning to sail. You don't create the wind, but you can learn to position your sails to harness its power for reaching your chosen destination. The cosmic intelligence provides the wind, your programming provides the sails, and your conscious awareness serves as the navigator that maintains direction while adapting to changing conditions. This sailing metaphor reveals why some people achieve extraordinary results with relatively modest programming efforts, while others struggle despite intensive practice. Those who succeed naturally learn to work with cosmic currents rather than against them, while those who struggle often exhaust themselves trying to force outcomes through personal effort alone. Learning to recognize and ride these evolutionary currents becomes one of the most important skills in advanced programming work. It requires developing what could be called cosmic sensitivity, the ability to sense when you're aligned with larger patterns of intelligence and when you're working against them. This sensitivity develops naturally as your programming practice deepens and your consciousness becomes more coherent. You begin noticing subtle signals that indicate whether your intentions are aligned with evolutionary currents or fighting against them. Aligned intentions feel effortless and energizing, while misaligned ones create struggle and exhaustion. The signals operate through your emotional guidance system, which functions like a sophisticated navigation instrument that constantly monitors your alignment with larger patterns of intelligence. Joy, excitement, and enthusiasm indicate alignment, while frustration, anxiety, and exhaustion suggest misalignment. Learning to read these emotional signals transforms your programming practice from guesswork into precise navigation. You can adjust your intentions and methods in real time based on feedback from your internal guidance system, ensuring that your efforts remain aligned with the cosmic currents that support manifestation. This emotional navigation becomes particularly important when working with what researchers call evolutionary edge programming, where you're attempting to manifest possibilities that haven't been achieved before. In these territories, you can't rely on established methods or proven techniques because you're pioneering new possibilities. The emotional guidance system becomes your primary navigation tool in these uncharted waters, helping you distinguish between breakthrough resistance and genuine misalignment. Breakthrough resistance feels challenging but energizing, like the sensation of muscles growing stronger through exercise. Misalignment feels draining and counterproductive, like swimming against a powerful current. Understanding this distinction allows you to persist through the inevitable challenges of pioneering work while avoiding the exhaustion that comes from pursuing misaligned goals. You learn to welcome resistance as a sign of growth while honoring guidance that suggests course corrections. This sophisticated navigation ability develops through what could be called contemplative programming, where you combine traditional visualization and affirmation techniques with deeper practices of meditation and inner listening. You learn to receive guidance from your subconscious rather than just giving it instructions. The contemplative dimension reveals that your subconscious possesses its own intelligence and wisdom that often exceeds your conscious understanding. When you learn to listen to this deeper intelligence, you gain access to insights and guidance that can dramatically improve your programming effectiveness. Many breakthrough achievements occur not through forcing predetermined outcomes, but through following unexpected guidance that emerges from contemplative programming sessions. Your subconscious may suggest approaches, timing, or modifications that your conscious mind would never consider, but that prove to be exactly what's needed for success. This receptive aspect of programming requires developing what contemplatives call beginner's mind, where you remain open to possibilities that transcend your current understanding. Even as you develop expertise in programming techniques, you maintain curiosity and openness to new approaches that might emerge through your practice. The beginner's mind prevents what researchers call technique fixation, where practitioners become so attached to specific methods that they miss opportunities for evolution and refinement. The most effective programmers continuously adapt their approaches based on feedback from their results and guidance from their deeper intelligence. This adaptive flexibility becomes crucial as you work with increasingly sophisticated goals that require equally sophisticated programming approaches. What works for basic habit change may be inadequate for identity-level transformation or reality-shifting achievements. Advanced programming often requires what could be called multi-dimensional approaches, where you work simultaneously with mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual aspects of transformation. Each dimension requires different techniques and timing, but they must all coordinate harmoniously for optimal results. The coordination happens naturally when you approach programming from the perspective of holistic consciousness rather than mechanical technique application. Your awareness learns to orchestrate multiple programming streams simultaneously, much like a conductor coordinates different sections of an orchestra. This orchestration ability develops through practice with what researchers call integrated programming sessions, where you deliberately engage multiple consciousness levels simultaneously. Instead of working with visualization alone, you might combine it with breathwork, movement, sound, and contemplative listening, all within a single session. The multidimensional approach often produces results that seem disproportionate to the effort invested, because different aspects of consciousness amplify each other when properly coordinated. Mental intention combined with emotional engagement and energetic alignment creates programming power that exceeds the sum of its parts. But perhaps the most profound aspect of advanced programming involves what could be called transpersonal identity work, where you begin programming not just for personal transformation, but for capabilities that serve purposes beyond individual achievement. Your goals expand to include contributions to family, community, humanity, and existence itself. This expansion occurs naturally as your consciousness develops, and you begin recognizing your intimate connection with all life. Personal success becomes meaningful primarily as it enables greater service to the larger purposes that evolution is seeking to accomplish through your unique gifts and perspective. The transpersonal dimension transforms programming from self-improvement to what could be called evolutionary collaboration, where you consciously participate in the cosmic creative process that's continuously bringing new possibilities into existence. Your individual development becomes part of the universe's own growth and awakening. This recognition creates what mystics call sacred purpose, where your goals feel less like personal desires and more like assignments from the cosmic intelligence that guides all development. Your programming work becomes a form of spiritual practice that serves the highest good of all existence. The sacred dimension doesn't diminish the practical effectiveness of your programming, but rather enhances it by aligning your efforts with the most powerful creative forces in the universe. When your goals serve evolutionary purposes, they receive support from cosmic intelligence that makes achievement feel natural and inevitable. This support manifests through synchronicities, opportunities, resources, and connections that appear precisely when needed to advance your programmed outcomes. What seems like miraculous assistance is actually the natural result of aligning individual intention with cosmic purpose. Understanding this alignment principle reveals why some people achieve extraordinary results that seem to defy normal limitations, while others struggle with basic goals despite sophisticated techniques. Those who succeed have learned to align their programming with evolutionary purposes, while those who struggle often focus solely on personal benefit without considering larger service. The alignment doesn't require abandoning personal desires, but rather expanding them to include service to purposes beyond individual fulfillment. When your goals simultaneously serve your authentic needs and contribute to collective benefit, they receive maximum support from both personal motivation and cosmic assistance. This integration of personal and transpersonal purposes creates what could be called sacred ambition, where your deepest aspirations become expressions of evolutionary intelligence seeking to manifest new possibilities through your life. Your success serves not just individual fulfillment, but the advancement of consciousness itself. The sacred perspective transforms every aspect of your programming practice, from goal selection through technique application to results integration. Each session becomes an opportunity to participate consciously in the cosmic creative process that's continuously evolving toward greater wisdom, beauty, and love. As you continue developing mastery in these advanced territories, you discover that the techniques we've explored together are just the beginning of what becomes possible when human consciousness learns to work consciously with the fundamental creative forces of existence. Each breakthrough reveals new territories to explore and new capabilities to develop. Your subconscious mind serves as the bridge between individual awareness and cosmic intelligence, translating universal creative principles into specific manifestations that serve your unique purpose and contribution. Every successful programming session demonstrates the remarkable potential that exists when human consciousness aligns with its deepest nature and highest calling. The journey of subconscious mastery ultimately becomes a path of awakening to your true identity as a conscious participant in the ongoing creation of reality itself. Your individual transformation serves the evolution of consciousness at every scale, from personal relationships to global civilization to cosmic development. Tonight, as you drift toward rest, carry with you the profound understanding that your consciousness is both a gift from the universe and a gift to the universe. Your subconscious mind holds not only the keys to your personal potential, but also your unique contribution to the magnificent unfolding of existence itself. The techniques we've explored together are tools for accessing and expressing the infinite creativity that flows through every conscious being. Your mastery of these principles makes you part of a growing network of awakened individuals who are actively participating in the next phase of human evolution. Every moment offers an opportunity to engage more fully with the remarkable intelligence that operates through your subconscious mind. The transformation you seek is always available through your willingness to trust, explore, and express the incredible potential that exists within every human heart and mind. Your consciousness is the universe becoming aware of itself through your unique perspective and experience. The subconscious mind is your partner in this cosmic dance of awakening, waiting to manifest whatever possibilities you choose to embrace with clarity, consistency, and love. The adventure continues with each breath, each choice, each moment of conscious participation in the extraordinary mystery of existence itself. Your subconscious mind is listening, learning, and preparing to express whatever highest possibilities you're ready to receive and share with the world. As we reach the end of this profound exploration together, I want you to take a moment to truly absorb what we've discovered about the incredible force operating within you right now. Your subconscious mind, processing 11 million bits of information every second, isn't just some fascinating biological function. It's the key to unlocking a level of human potential that most people never even dream possible. Tonight, you've learned that your reality isn't fixed or predetermined. It's actively being created moment by moment through the programming running in your subconscious mind. You've discovered that by learning to speak the language of your deeper mind through visualization, emotion, and repetition, you can literally reprogram yourself for success, happiness, and fulfillment at levels you may have never imagined. The techniques we've explored together aren't just interesting concepts to think about. They're practical tools for actively reshaping your life from the inside out. Every visualization session where you feel yourself already achieving your goals, every moment you choose empowering thoughts over limiting ones, every instance where you program yourself with the identity of who you're becoming rather than who you've been, you're literally rewiring your brain and creating new neural pathways that will guide you toward your desired outcomes. Remember, your subconscious mind is always listening, always learning, always creating your reality based on the information you consistently provide it. The question isn't whether this force is powerful. The question is whether you'll choose to harness that power consciously and deliberately, or whether you'll continue letting it operate on autopilot. Your transformation begins the moment you start taking conscious control of your internal programming. Your subconscious is waiting to be directed toward your highest aspirations. All it needs is your commitment to speaking its language with clarity, consistency, and genuine emotional engagement. The journey into the true power of your subconscious mind is really a journey into the infinite potential that exists within you, waiting to be awakened and expressed. As you continue exploring these remarkable capabilities, remember that you're not just changing your own life, but contributing to the evolution of human consciousness itself. Sweet dreams, fellow explorer. Your subconscious mind never stops working, and tonight it's preparing to manifest whatever possibilities you've chosen to embrace with your newfound understanding. I wish you a very good night. I hope you had an amazing time with me here at Boring Science. I will see you tomorrow as always. Until then, stay curious, keep wondering. This is Boring Science signing off. Cheers.